This is the Wikipedia page for monarch butterfly conservation in California. Welcome to WikiListen, the podcast where we read Wikipedia pages and provide commentary. My name is Rob P., and I'm your WikiListen Current Events host. And we're talking about butterflies because in the New York Times they had an article about research that says the numbers are declining in their winter habitats. They're trying to figure out why, and they don't know exactly what's causing it. Could be pesticides, could be climate change. Let's read about monarch butterfly conservation and see if they have any insights. Monarch butterfly conservation in California. The U.S. state of California has instituted numerous conservation programs, policies, laws, reserves, and habitat restoration projects throughout the state to facilitate the health and migration of the western population of the monarch butterfly, Danaus plexippus. The population of western monarchs require very different breeding and overwintering habitat when compared to the eastern population of monarch butterflies. They require specific microclimatic conditions to survive the winter, and they are sensitive to habitat changes at the overwintering sites. The large aggregations of butterflies are seen as the most vulnerable at their overwintering locations along the coast. Many monarch overwintering sites are contained within the coastal zone, an area defined by the Coastal Zone Management Act to be 1,000 yards inland from the high tide mark. Large number of overwintering sites are outside the coastal zone. There are more than 450 overwintering sites in California. Habitat conservation. Conservationists promote habitat conservation by identifying trees that are necessary for roosting. They suggest that roosting sites be identified and designated to prevent degradation of the area. They also suggest that an environmental impact statement be filed when construction is done near overwintering roasts. Roasts or roost? Removal of trees within the perimeter of the habitat should be prohibited. Tree maintenance should be performed by experts in the field. They propose that it should be unlawful to remove trees, understory plants, and vegetation near roosting sites. Reforestation efforts should be instituted. Erosion control needs to be taken into account to maintain suitable habitat. Conservationists suggest that wood-burning fireplaces and structures should not be built near roosting sites. Citation needed. The International Environmental Law Project issued a policy statement regarding eucalyptus management at monarch overwintering sites. This group recognizes the wide variety of tree species that monarchs utilize in their overwintering roosts. The Xerces Society recommends that eucalyptus trees remain unmolested if monarchs roost on the trees. Proposed conservation measures. The International Environmental Law Project of 2012 has proposed model legislation and recommends the following. Here's a bullet list. Amend the California Fish and Game regulations to authorize the California Department of Fish and Game to regulate the monarch butterfly. Amend the California Endangered Species Act to include the monarch butterfly. Amend the Coastal Act to specifically recognize overwintering sites as needing special protection. Continue discussion via the Trilateral Committee for Wildlife and Ecosystem, Conservation and Management Summit to organize continent-wide conservation actions. Limiting activities at the overwintering sites, in parentheses logging, tourism. Mass planting of milkweed and nectar plants. Concerned individuals, governmental agencies, and organizations have made efforts to restore milkweed habitats to provide nectar and food plants. Studies that involve the participation of citizen scientists who monitor and apply tags to migrating monarchs. The lobbying of lawmakers, corporations, highway departments, utilities, and policymakers to preserve habitat. The continued acquisition of land for the express purpose of monarch conservation. Habitat restoration. Participants in Monarch Watch's Waystation program have planted acres of native milkweeds to encourage larval growth for monarchs. These waystations also provide nectaring plants for adult monarchs. Tree management. Most locales do not have laws or policies concerning the removal or alteration of trees within a designated monarch overwintering site. Alteration of trees requires a permit in Capitola and Goleta. Studies continue to determine the efficacy of the continued use of eucalyptus trees as roosting trees. Large gaps in the tree canopies at the overwintering sites in California affect the suitability of the roosts. Overwintering sites. Large number of overwintering sites are outside the coastal zone. There are more than 450 overwintering sites in California, documented since the 1980s. Citation needed. California State Parks and Lands. Monarchs are protected from the effects of land development, tourism in the 270 California state parks. The activities of visitors to the parks are regulated to include the prohibition of molesting, hunting, disturbing, harming, feeding, touching, teasing, injuring, trapping, taking, netting, poisoning any animal or trees. The collecting, capturing, and killing of any animals and the destruction of native vegetation is prohibited in the parks. Overwintering sites occur near beaches, universities, and other state lands. State parks do not have specific policies regarding the maintenance of trees on which the monarchs overwinter. California historical sites are exempt from having to create monarch conservation plans. And then there is a list of many state parks that contain monarch overwintering groves. So there you have it, things California specifically is doing to try to save the monarch butterfly. They are real pretty. I hope they can. This has been the Wikipedia page for monarch butterfly conservation in California. Thanks for listening to WikiListen. You can find us at wikilisten.com and on all social media at WikiListen, except for Twitter, which is at wiki_listen. Please subscribe, and if you have an article you'd like us to read, let us know.